Alright, so let's continue. And what we were talking about last time, I'll just try to check it out. What? Yeah, I put some screenshots there. That's very strange. I'll just refresh that. Okay, so I'll go to this one. Screenshots from last time, which is, yeah, 4 GB and stuff. Okay, so right now what we are doing, I'm just gonna quickly remotely connect to my machine and okay, serious. Okay guys, I had a cable that needed to be connected, so I'm just connecting the background. And just give me a second, guys. Okay, back. Well, it's just connecting now, and I'll just check. Okay, my network connections were a little questionable. I thought they were good. Connected to the switch at home as well. Okay. So let's discuss our environment. I'm connecting to my remote PC, which is beside me actually in my room. And once we're logged in, so I'll just double click this. Okay, so we have here, yeah, 101. So we had already started, actually deployed our virtual machine. You can see that it's suspended, and I'll just unsuspend it. So it's not gonna, it should not take a lot of time to get started. Now, I'm not starting all the machines. Why? Because and in fact I did start the E6i2, which I will quickly power off. I remember that I have given all the memory to the E6i1, like enough memory to let it to let us install that Vcenter. That was a big machine, so we needed all the memory, so we don't need to start E6i2, E6i3 here, because that's going to overcommit and it's going to go more than what physical memory we have. So it's still starting E6i1, and E6i1 has, so now I'm going to just go back to the diagram while it is still starting up. Okay, so we have our ESXi right now started up here. So last class what we did was we connected and deployed over the network from Win01 Windows machine our Vcsa, which is Vcenter server appliance, and remotely we deployed it on ESXi1. And that ESXi1, I actually suspended, and I would suggest that you can also suspend the virtual machines that have critical configurations, or that the virtual machine setting is in such a way that when you restart again, it would take longer time to get up and running. So we deployed that, and this virtual machine has its virtual disk added to the. So this is W1, which is so we attach the LUNs as well, and these LUNs, 3 LUNs that are there, are actually coming from the first one. So it's our software SAN, Windows-based software SAN, and our virtual machine's virtual disk is right now living on this data store, which is a LUN-based data store, and the LUN, so it's LUN 1. Above that, the blue one is the data store, and the naming we gave, so W1, DS0, data store 0, and LUN 0. So on top of this, we deployed our VCSA. So let me just put that here. Vcsa 7, that is. And this is the V disk, and virtual disk normally is this it has the same name of the virtual machine that we deployed. So the V disk and the virtual machine. So right now it's supposed to be exactly like this, and we need to still introduce Vcsa 7 to the whole environment here. It needs to know this environment to really manage it, and the whole course revolves around how Vcenter manages the whole environment. So this virtual machine, first of all, we need to check that if it is okay. Second thing is, what is the RAM we gave currently? Just for the temporarily, we increased the RAM of E6i1 so we could deploy the VCSA a bit faster, and temporarily we shut down E6i2 and E6i3 for exactly that purpose of letting this E6i1 or VCSA virtual machine or appliance to be deployed on E6i1. Now we need to first check if we can remotely connect to VCSA. If not, we can just first go to E6i1 remotely and then check that, hey, how is this virtual machine doing? Is it powered on or not? And once, suppose it is powered off, so we power it on by connecting to E6i1 hypervisor remotely. We power on this machine, then we try to connect to this machine. Once we are inside this HTML5 web client, then we can, if we are inside, we're good. Then we're going to shut this E6i1 down. Why? Because we need to then check what is the RAM we need to give to all, or how the RAM distribution will work. I have a 24 GB total RAM here. You guys have 32 or more GB of RAM there. So my 24 GB, I need to get this environment within that. Even if I slightly overcommit, it's also okay. So I know that 4 GB RAM is there already for these virtual machines, but this one needs either 10 or 12 GB RAM. Sometimes we have done the stunt of in other classes where there was total 16 GB RAM for the students, and that was very strange. So we had to then even give it like 8 GB RAM, while it should be on as much RAM as possible. But it still started after giving some issues, and yeah, it was just terribly slow. Anyway, so we need to try to give RAM here that is within our physical RAM capacity. So if it's you got 32, so it's already 12,442. So I'm already going to be so 22 GB will be total for myself. But for you, you can give even more RAM. Now this is what I'm planning to give right now for current environment, but later for these two hypervisors we might need to temporarily increase or decrease the RAMs. Decrease we cannot do because 4 GB is minimum for our hypervisor, but we will be increasing there. Right now we need to reach where this is 2 GB, this is 12 GB, this is for 4 GB, and they should all be powered on. We need to reach there, but before that, let's check our current environment, what RAM is given, and is our VCSA even up or not. So let's confirm everything. So I'm going to connect to Win01, and from there I'll try to remotely connect to Vcsa7 if I can, and if I cannot, then I will remotely connect to E6i1 directly, because inside this is Vcsa7 right now. So from there I'll check that is that VCSA or virtual machine still up or not. So if I alt tab and go back to my environment here, so yeah, E6i1 is fully up, and it was temporarily we gave it 18 GB RAM, right? So 18 GB, why? Because we wanted to deploy that. I wish I could just keep it that way, but you know, 4 GB, these two needs to be up as well, and that's going to at once overcommit, which I don't want, because if we overcommit too much, this the PC can freeze, right? So whenever it actually reaches and starts using that much RAM. Okay, so E6i1, as far as I'm concerned, is up, and it is on DCUI, Direct Console User Interface. Its IP is 2, E6i1 is the name. I'm going to go to Win01 from where I deployed you know, appliance VCSA into hypervisor. So I'm going to go to Win01, and in Win01 your vsession, so obviously I unsuspended the machine, so it's gonna kick me out of this, and then I will have to log back in. I'm just gonna press OK here. It was just frozen at exactly this state, which is good for us to know then, okay, yeah, that's what we were doing. We were here. So how to connect to this? Well, it already has it in cache administrator at vsphere.local, and the password, the class password, that is small c, capital C, shift123 without shift123. So if everything is as is, like last time, so I should be able to log in. So I'm connecting from Win01 with HTML5 web client to the VCSA that is living inside hypervisor 1, E6i1. In fact, I'm able to, so what I did was, when I start this machine, actually I did not shut it down, I suspended it, right? Suppose I had shut it down, then when I power it on, so then the machine may not have started. I mean, like when I power on the ESXi1 hypervisor, the virtual machine inside may still be shut down. It's not necessary that when you start the hypervisor that all the virtual machines inside the hypervisor would start as well. So in that case, I would remotely connect to E6i1 and then power it on. If you're following, and you may have shut down and started, so just make sure that you're able to remotely connect now to your environment. Otherwise, if that is not the case, you're not able to log in right now, then you can also check if you can connect to E6i1 directly. In fact, although I am logged in successfully, I don't need to connect, but I'm gonna still connect now. Why? I'm gonna connect to who? I'm trying to connect to the hypervisor just to check how the VCSA appliance virtual machine is doing. I know it's doing fine because I'm remotely connected to it right now, but I'll still go to the hypervisor that is hosting this VCSA on top of it, right? So I'll try to connect to that hypervisor now as well, just to show you that, okay, this is how it looks like. Our VCSA seems to be fine. So I'm gonna go to root, and the password, let me see, shift123, not shift123. So first I logged in from Vcenter itself, I'm fine, but I'm logging into the E6i on top of which this Vcenter is living, right? So I'm connecting to that E6i, the host. I'm connected to the host here, and inside the host I can see, yes, the Vcenter is fine. Well, obviously if I can connect remotely, so obviously it is fine, right? So that's okay, and that's how it's looked like here. And so if in your case it was you were not connected, you could have gone this way and selected it and simply powered it on and then wait for it. Now if everything is fine, like I can remotely connect, I still need to configure the whole environment. There's a lot of steps to do, which I'm gonna be writing down, and then we're gonna talk about those as well. So the first thing is that we need to now put those other hypervisors up and running as well. And so the current environment now, if I just go ahead, I'm just going to check the RAM here. It is Win01 has 4 GB or 2 GB? It has 4 GB, okay. Well, and this has 18 GB, I know. This has 4 GB. So of my 24 GB total, in your case 32 GB total. So we can just check it if it is less than, in my case 24 GB, and in your case less than 32 GB total RAM that we provide to the 4 machines. So if I go up here, so if I just put it 4 GB instead of 2, so this means I'll be overcommitting by 2 GB. So 12 and 4, right? So that's 20, and then 24. Actually, total it comes down to 24. I'll check it out. Otherwise, how the overall performance is. Otherwise, I'll just put it, at least in my case, I'll just put it to 2 GB if I had to. The rest, yes, I need to reach here. I need to keep this machine at this hypervisor. I need to keep at 12 GB in my case. And the rest are already on 4 GB. So all I need to do now is that I will simply shut down this machine. And so in order to shut it down, obviously this means that the Vcsa that is running on top of it will shut down as well when I shut down ESXi1. So then I'm going to just change the RAM from 18 GB to 12 GB. Then I'm going to power on the ESXi1 and then power on this virtual machine that is on top of ESXi1 as well. Once that is up, then I'll just power on these two guys as well, and we can go for our next steps. So so here week 4, in fact my last steps were on the Windows machine, how to access deployment log, open the installation log. Okay, that's just the steps of what we're doing, but we were here also create an A record and Vcsa. Okay, so we continue then. Now for these next steps, once Vcsa is installed and we are able to log in, then let's put the RAM configuration back to you know, what we discussed in the diagram, and power on all hypervisors. Normally we call it hosts, so hypervisors. I'll just put the name host. Whenever I say host, I just still mean hypervisor. Other than that, once powered back on, then what we need to do is connect to Vcsa, add ESXi02 to TorDC, because we created a data center there as well. We discussed in last class, but we're gonna discuss that again. What are data centers? What are folders? So add ESXi02 to TorDC by name. Add ESXi03 to NYDC by name, right? And then move the, we did create one machine where when we did not have Vcsa. Move VM01 which is on local disk based LUN to local disk based data store to LUN01 based data store. So I'm just writing that, then we're going to discuss that, what are we doing, why are we doing this, and other than that, create the other two data stores on top of the two LUNs. And then we're gonna go for virtual machine management. So that's a lot of stuff, management, and some other topics like virtual machine management, resource pools. What are those? And VApps, and then virtual standard switch. So we're gonna reach here hopefully today, but we'll try to keep on going ahead as soon as we are done with the first task. So this is our creating the environment. First of all, connect to VCSA. So before that, we need to reach here where the RAM is properly given back, and let's put the RAM configuration back to what we discussed in the diagram. So in order to do that, as the plan goes, first we're going to shut down the virtual machine here, then we're going to shut down the hypervisor itself, and once they're fully shut down, then we're going to change the RAM and power on ESXi 2 and 3 as well. So that's the first task here. So we are remotely connected to VCSA. I'm going to alt tab back to this machine, Win01. We're doing everything from Win01. I don't need to see this left side here. I'm just going to click this close button to make the screen wider. And also, I'll just make it full screen here. Okay, so what we need to do here is that I'm connected remotely now. It has hidden my upper tabs there as well. So I need to connect to the ESXi one. So let me just show you clearly here. I'll have to drop back to the screen. Now it's showing me first tab that I'm connected to hypervisor. Second tab, I'm connected to the Vcsa appliance virtual machine here. So I'm going to go to my ESXi 1. Why? Because first I need to properly shut down this machine, then I need to shut down this whole hypervisor, ESXi 1. So if I'm there in the Vcenter, I can just go with this shutdown here as well. I can just give a command from here, and I click the shutdown while this machine is selected, the VCSA is selected, and well, what I'm expecting is that it should shut down. It's going to update its so I'll click on top of this machine to go inside to check the progress. And I'll keep this refreshing. Hmm. 12 GB, yeah. How's that? Okay, that was for the virtual machine. Total RAM was 18 GB that I gave to the hypervisor. Refresh again. Refresh. So it's shutting down slow. Yeah, it's shut down now. I'll just do a final refresh. Yes, it is shut down. So that is shut down, and then we can also simply power off this hypervisor as well, right? Normally I'm so in the habit of going to this VMware workstation level and then right click here and power and shut down guest. It properly shuts down everything. right? Or we can go to directly click the F12 and simply shut down if we were there directly in front of it. Or if I'm remotely connected to this as well, and I'm not very much used to shutting down from here, but obviously there are buttons here for shut down here as well. And sometimes very simple things just move out of my mind, so that's why I'm just coming here as well and checking out advanced settings and service. Really, I go to host services. So well, these are the services actually, and they are for shutdown. If I click the host itself, oh seriously, there was it. So I was going directly to manage. It was on the host. You click the host and then simply shut down from within that E6i1, and shutting down or rebooting a host that is not in maintenance mode will not safely stop the running virtual machines in this host. So what it is saying is, well, there's a maintenance mode, and we will be seeing that too. So maintenance mode is obviously, as the name says, it can you can troubleshoot anything while it is in maintenance mode. In Windows, you might have heard about safe mode, that when you restart and you press F8, it goes to the safe mode. It does not load any drivers, and then you can troubleshoot. So it's maintenance mode here in Hypervisor, that none of the virtual machines can work if maintenance mode is there. And if there is any working virtual machine, it's not gonna even go to maintenance mode. It will say that, hey, shut down that machine, or Vmotion that machine, move it somewhere else on other hypervisors, and then it's gonna shut down. So well, there is no such thing for now, that we're not putting it maintenance mode, we're just directly shutting it down. So maintenance mode also is used when we are doing patching of the hypervisors. So it has to be in maintenance mode for it to be patched. Okay, so I gave that command of shutdown while I was remotely connected, and yes, I can confirm now it is shut down as well. So we properly shut down the Vcsa, and then we shut down the hypervisor as well. And I'm gonna just change that RAM to what we decided. Now yours is 32 GB, so yeah, you could just give more if you want, maybe 16 GB here and 4 on the other side. So it will be, just don't give full 32 GB, keep it, give 2 GBs to your host to breathe. Host is your laptop or desktops there underlying Windows 10. So I'm going to just change the RAM here excuse me, to 12416. So I'm clicking anywhere else to just check. Yes, the RAM is given there now, 12 GB, and that's what I wanted. Yeah, done, right? Okay, I'm going to press OK here. So this is 12 GB. If I click on E6i2, 4 GB. If I click E6i3, 4 GB. So 12.4.4, and this is, I know it's 4, so 12.4.4.4 in my case. Now I'm just gonna power on this machine, E6i1, and I'll also power on E6i2. It's gonna get slower now. In fact, E6i1 power on E6i2, that's okay. I'm not gonna power on E6i3 for now. I really want the Vcsa to start properly. And one more thing here is that Vcsa also, that virtual machine also has been given 12 GB when we were deploying it. At that time we gave it 12 GB, the Vcsa. So the hypervisor has 12 GB. If I just go back to the diagram, so this Vcsa total now has, in my case, 12 GB, while this virtual machine also has 12 GB RAM, right? So this virtual machine pretty much needs all the RAM there is in Vcsa. What I can do is that I have put the RAM down from 18 GB down to down to 12 GB. And second thing is, so the hypervisor is on 12 GB RAM, but I'll just I don't want to do that, but just to avoid any kind of surprises or errors, so I'll at least put it 11 or maybe 10 GB of this machine. So the virtual machine should have lesser RAM than the hypervisor that it is on, obviously, right? So, and the rest of the virtual machines will be actually created on those other ESXi2 and ESXi3. So I'll just put it on 11 or 10 GB, which is not enough. 10 GB is definitely not enough for Vcsa, but it's gonna survive. It's gonna breathe. So right now V6i should be powered on with 12 GB RAM, and I did start ESXi2, but I didn't start ESXi3, so some RAM is still left here, overall RAM in the underlying laptop or desktop. So let me first make sure that Vcsa starts properly, and then we remotely connect to that properly, and then we can start ESXi3 as well. So it's all we're doing because we have limited hardware, and yes, if it was powerful hardware, much powerful, 64 GB RAM maybe, or actually with workstation you can go up to 200 GB RAM, right? With that, wow, amazing, we can do a lot. So and workstations, used workstations are in the market as well, like used HP workstations, but they're pretty old as well. In some cases, I have two workstations, but they are old, so not much benefit. But yeah, more RAM, better we are. Okay, so I'm gonna go back here, and I can see that ESXi2 is up, ESXi1 is up with the RAM change. ESXi1 right now 12 GB, 2 4 GB. Okay, I'm gonna try to connect from the first machine remotely to my ESXi. First I'm gonna connect to ESXi because I know that the Vcsa is shut down because I shut it down, right? So I'm gonna go there to the ESXi first, ESXi, right? Root. You can also configure that if hypervisor shuts down, yes, virtual machine will be shut down. But if when hypervisor is powered on, automatically the virtual machine should also power on. By default it is disabled, but you can enable it that automatically just power on my machines, all machines. Then you can also put some priority there as well. Okay, whenever hypervisor is powered on, and suppose there are 10 machines, so 2 of them are critical, so you can actually give a priority as well, that these two can start first and others just delay them for 3 minutes and then start them as well. So we can automate all that process as well with the virtual machine starting priority. Right now I'm just gonna connect to the hypervisor to properly start my Vcsa. Okay, I'm inside the hypervisor and I'm going to click the virtual machine, and yes, it is powered off, but also I know that it also has 12 GB RAM, while my actual hypervisor also now have 12 GB RAM. So I'm just going to go inside the virtual machine, and yes, it also has 12 GB RAM. So I need to not take a risk of using up the whole memory of the hypervisor, and I'll click that edit button here. This edit button is for the virtual machine, right? So I'm going to click that edit button and check if I can get the RAM further down for the Vcsa. So, well, I'm leaving 2 GB for the hypervisor usage, while that one virtual machine that's going to stay on top of this, I'm giving even lesser RAM now, 10 GB. So, well, if you have 32 GB, yes, you can just leave 2 GB for the underlying hypervisor, or 3 or 4 if you want. Other than that, give the rest to this virtual machine. This hypervisor will only have this virtual machine. We won't be putting any other virtual machine on this hypervisor. So I'm going to click save here after putting 10. This week I'll ask them, give me more 8 GB stick. I could put it here. So I'm powering on the machine after putting the RAM 10. I just click the power on as well. I just click power on after changing the RAM to 10. If you have more memory, yes, keep it as is and just power on. So once it is fully powered on, then we can go ahead. Now, yes, it's starting. I'll click on top of that machine as well, and it's going through the startup process, and it's on the Vcsa login screen. Okay, I'll just close it here. In the background, guys, normally services are still starting in the background. If it is on login, that doesn't mean it's fully started. Although in 7.0 version, they have increased the startup time of the hypervisors and the Vcenter, but Vcenter is really powerful, so a huge amount of features there, so it does take time in the background for the services, all services to start. I'm going to refresh here to just check the thumbnail status. Yes, it also shows that it's on the login screen. Its IP is 200.5. Now that's not the IP of the hypervisor. Hypervisor IP is 200.2. This IP 200.5 is the IP of the virtual machine. So this means that we can ping from this machine where we are sitting now. So I'll just there's a command prompt open, or you can just right click and open the command prompt from here and ping. Obviously we saw that it's already up 200.5, so it pings, so we're good. But yeah, we already saw it powered on. So from the hypervisor we see that it's up. Now on the other tab I can go and try to connect to the actual virtual machine that is living inside this hypervisor, to which we are remotely connected from the first tab. Just to remove some confusion there, I'm just going to remove this tab now. Or if there's no confusion, keep it there. So I just want the Vcsa remote connectivity there, or remote connection tabs there. So Vcsa and well, it's still thinking and refreshing. I'll just click reload. Or I'll just remote connection services may not be there. So this is the URL basically for Vcsa netplus.local/UI. I click that and remove everything else. This is the URL. Now there are two URLs there. One is to connect to the Vcsa to manage the whole environment, and the other URL was to actually manage this Vcsa itself, right? So while we're waiting for the remote connectivity to that Vcsa, we can also connect to that other URL here. In fact, this is logged in, but I will refresh that because I had to shut down and start. Now the other URL, we discussed that this URL is for managing the Vcsa. That's all it does, just that one Vcsa it manages. And so it is VMware Vcenter server management, while the other one lets us manage the whole environment. So that is still thinking. In fact, I'm just gonna close this. Now when we start with a less RAM, the Vcenter, so it takes 10 minutes for the background services to really start. So less RAM means 10, 12. Those are like then we have to wait a bit longer for the background services to start. And if those background services are not started, we cannot actually remotely connect to that hypervisor Vcenter. So if I just go back here. So that's just quite a mess, but we were able to shut down the whole environment. And then if I go keep doing control S, it's gonna clean the whole background. Wow, I remembered all that. Okay, so we're back to our environment, and we need to just make sure that the Vcsa management URL should let us in, which is just management URL simply lets us manage the Vcsa, so we can say VM. So this particular VM, it just lets us manage that, and that is the URL that we already see there. So Vcsa domain name, and 5480 is the port that we need to remember, while the other URL is the one that we're going to spend more time on, and that is the Vcsa URL for managing the whole VMware environment. That URL is HTTPS and 443, so pretty much the same, but the port is different. Which basically disappears because HTTPS is 443 anyway. So these two URLs must be working, and the low RAM can delay your logging in, because the background services are still working and their dependencies are still powering on, starting. So in that case, it takes time. I'll try to increase more RAM. This is something I hope I remember. And let's close that. Okay, so this is here where we need to still make sure that we're connecting, or we are connected or not. So I'm just going to go to my, okay, so management, I'll click the root. I'll go to the management. You can go to root because it's a Linux machine after all. So just for the management of this machine, you need to use the root username and password. So I'll just log into that. If all the services in the background are started, so it should let us log in. So any one URL, if or console, if you're logged into, so it's good. While our installation screen from the previous class is still open, so I'm just going to close this installation screen here. Close, we don't need that. Now this route even to the management center, it's taking time. Oh, now we're in. Okay, I'm in. And the management center is okay. Like if I click the summary here, overall health good, CPU good, memory, database, storage, swap, good. Okay. Domain status is unknown, really. And yeah, so if I click monitor here for this, yeah, CPU was high, now it is low. So I think we're ready to go. Memory is okay. Okay, so I'll try to connect to that other URL or console from which we can configure the whole environment. When I closed the installer, it just took me to this screen, which is also, it's gonna take me to the same URL. Anyway, launch vSphere client HTML5. I'll click that. So the management page says everything's good and installer is ready, like the VCS is ready now. So I'm trying to connect now to that environment, to that console, so we could configure everything.
Yeah, I'm getting a CPU exhaustion on Vcsa.
CPU exhaustion?
Yeah.
You're seeing that?
Yep.
Well, are you able to share the screen on WhatsApp, or you can?
Sure, I will share it. Just hold on, let me just log in.
Or also,
Yeah, I just log into Cisco. Just a minute.
sure.
Yeah, I can't even ping it. I can't log in. I can't ping it. Nothing.
Oh, like you remotely connected to E6i1, like I did.
Yep.
And you powered on the machine.
Yep.
And did you change the RAM of the machine just like I did? Lesser than the hypervisor?
Mine's called Vmotion.
Okay.
And I powered it on. It's powered on. It was sitting at the Windows 2016 login machine, or login prompt. But I can't connect to it. I can't ping it. Nothing.
Okay, so did you start the other hypervisors as well? You didn't, right?
I started 2.
Or just like I did, okay. So you have 3 total machines started, Win01, E6i1, E6i2, that's it, right?
Correct.
Okay, and that's, so what we can do is, we can just remotely connect. So from Win01, you can just type, well, whatever the hypervisor name, E6i01, you can remotely connect.
I'm connected to ESXi1 through
Okay.
the ESXi webpage, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But I can't connect to VCSA.
Okay, so your VCSA, I'm connected again. So your VCSA, if you are connected there, do you see it powered on?
No, mine's a Windows 2016 VM. I don't recall creating this guy here. I can't remember. All I remember is that we installed 2016 on a VM, and we named it VM01. That's the only virtual machine I have inside of here, inside of ESXi01. I don't have VMware vCenter server like you do.
Last class, we spent like 2 hours installing this.
That's why I don't know what's going on. I mean, nothing has changed.
Like you installed with us, right?
I installed, like where you have virtual machines, VMware vCenter server, the only one I have is VM01, and it's a Windows 2016 server.
Okay, so
There has to be some. I think there has to be some confusion somewhere. I mean, I think whatever's inside the ESX101 is completely separate. I mean, we've been working with Win01 from the beginning.
so can I see your screen, because Join Me has a share screen as well. Here on the top, you can click the share and I can see your screen, and I could just simply check it out.
Are you asking me?
Yes, Dave, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So Dave, can you see Join Me on the top, and there's a share button there? Cool. Okay, VM01, yeah. And that is E6i1. If you click more VMs there, oh yeah, there it shows 2 actually. So right under VM01, sorry, if you can go back, yeah. Right under VM01 is a monitor, then there's a more VMs written. Yeah, that's one. Okay. Oh, one more thing, Dave. Can you go back and power on? Okay. No, don't. Well, it's okay that you powered on, but please shut down the VM01, right? Yeah, shut down that one. There you go.
Thank you so much. It's like, what happened?
No problem.
I know everything you said to do. So, okay.
I was like right now totally in shock. What? Okay.
I appreciate it.
No problem. Sorry. Okay, but guys, this is a better, faster way. So from now on, if anyone has an issue, you could just share me your screen and we can go faster on this. That would be great. Okay. So,
Okay, I'm gonna just share my screen. Just see the CPU exhaustion thing.
Sure.
Just a minute.
Okay, and
I'll show you the VCSA.
Oh, okay, sorry. Where?
Okay, it's disappeared.
No,
okay.
it's just afraid of the instructors. It happens a lot of times.
Okay, it disappeared. It was showing me sleepy exhaustion out here.
But no, it happens when machine is trying to start, and it's at that time it really needs a lot of CPU and RAM. But then when it is fully started,
Okay,
it just cools down.
Okay, this is not an issue, right? The alert.
No, so yeah, we can see that if you can click on top of that. Appliance is running low on memory. Okay, that's a common that we're gonna see. But
okay.
Sarfraz, did you put the RAM less for the virtual machine, lesser than the E6i1?
See, if I go to my settings, I
You have
put
16 GB for the E6i1.
16 GB.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's go back to Win01. And are you remotely? No, not the Win01 RAM.
Okay.
We don't need that. So, are you connected to E6i1 remotely right now?
Yeah.
I think you are. Yeah. Let's click the E6i1 tab. Yeah. This. No, not this one.
Yeah.
This is the.
Okay. Yeah.
This one exactly.
Mm.
And hey, what is the RAM of your VMware vCenter machine? That's
12 GB.
Okay. Well, so 12 and 16. Hey, you're good.
Yeah.
That alert we can ignore for now. It's saying it has enough memory, and still it's saying it's low on memory. So it could have sent that alert when it was starting and it needed more. So yeah, we can carry on. It's okay. And yeah, you can keep on refreshing to check if the errors persist after maybe 5-10 minutes, or maybe after half an hour refresh. And sometimes browsers the errors just go away. But yeah, in my case, I have lesser memory and I don't have alert. Okay, but we can carry on. It's okay. It's not stopping. It's not a showstopper. So let's go ahead.
Okay, no bother.
Cool. Okay, I'm gonna click share screen. My screen and turn it on. Okay, so okay, so now my machines. I'm gonna click that machine and okay, guys. Let's. There's sounds coming from the mic. Okay, thank you. And now where are we? So we connected from hypervisor. These tabs could be confusing, right? And when we remotely connect, we can see that there are machines here, and they are powered on. If it is powered on, we need to connect inside this machine, and we need to just open another tab, and from that tab, those are the two URLs that I was showing you here. You just need to use up these URLs. This is for management, and that just gives you the status, and this is the actual whole environment configuration is done on this URL. So these URL we should be very, very familiar with. Because of the VCSA, we're going to configure the whole thing. So is VCSA okay? That's the first URL, and then through VCSA is the whole environment okay? That's the second URL. So 443 and 5480, these are the two ports. 443 for the whole environment, 5484 just the VCSA itself. So if that is okay, and how is it okay? First of all, you're able to log in from the management 5480. In fact, that's this one. You can see the 5480 here. And yes, from the summary, I get that it seems everything good. In fact, the domain was saying unknown status. Now it's saying running. So after some time, it changed to running status. Because of the limited hardware, you might see things happening slower, and the messages that you want coming slower as well. And so yes, as long as the VCSA management itself is concerned, Vcenter management is concerned, we're good. I'm going to go to the other tab. I need to actually see the whole rest of the environment, actually start configuring the rest of the environment now, right? And for that, I need to log in now from, so just make sure that when you're connecting, 5480 is not written there. It's, well, no port is written. This means it's 443 port. So I'm just gonna go ahead and put the top user account, which is administrator, and the domain that it is using. So that is administrator at vsphere.local. It could have been, we could have named it any other domain, something dot something, anything dot anything, but vsphere.local, just to keep it separate and from the Microsoft domain, plus we know it's vSphere environment. So I'll just put that username password, so small ABC capital shift 123, and this is what we're gonna keep on using throughout. So I'm connecting from UI, which is HTML5 web client, and that is really giving a lot of, so all the advanced features are there, which were still being improved in 6.5, 6.7. Okay, so here okay. So we last time created, last time first we logged in. Okay, hopefully you're able to log into this machine, I mean, like this VCSA main console. And second thing is, we created a folder. Canada, we created a folder, US, or you can just create Asia and Europe and all the folders if you have hypervisors there as well. You have branches there and hypervisors deployed there as well. Second thing is, so this is the folder that we created last time, and if I right click here, there's new data center that we can create within the data center. We have to create a data center where all the features are available. So if I since we created the data center, and how did we create that last time? I just right clicked here, we click the new data center, it just simply asks a name under the folder, right? So we created a Tor DC data center, just the name, and then we right click on top of the Tor DC. Now we can see all the features that we really need to. This course revolves around all these features and many more inside those. So new cluster, distributed switch, virtual machines, OVF template, and so on. So the data centers have been added. Now, why did we add 2 data centers here? 2 data centers is for a very big environment, right? We don't need that. Or separation of administration. You do have 2 branches. Maybe you have like 200 virtual machines only in Toronto and 500 virtual machines only in New York. Maybe you have 5,000 users there or 2,000 users here. So either you would do this for separation of administration, or if you have big branch, that branch is having like 20,000, 50,000 users here, and this branch also has 50 or 100,000 users there. So you would create a separate vCenter for both branches. So we just created 2 just to know how to create 2, and does some of the services really work while the 2 branches are there. Suppose we're going to create a distributed switch. If I right click here, there is a distributed switch, right? So, oh man, okay, so there's a distributed switch. This distributed switch, we're gonna come back later. It's an upcoming topic, obviously, but this distributed switch does not work across 2 data centers. Okay, okay, guys, let me just take this cell phone outside.
Something's going on.
Okay, so as I was saying, this distributed switch cannot work across data centers. There are some other features. Cluster feature cannot work across data centers because you can create a cluster for this DC or data center and for this DC. So it just works under a DC. It doesn't work. So we're gonna check that all features which works. Now Vmotion feature, you're migrating a machine from one hypervisor to another. That works across 2 data centers as well. So that's why we just created 2 data centers, just to explore some other other features that in future that we're going to talk about, that do they work across data centers. So just creating basically a bit bigger environment, although we don't need that. So Tor DC, a data center, is created under a folder. I could have created that on the root as well. I don't have to really create a folder first to create a data center, right? So, but that's just for organization. You can even create folder further inside. So suppose under Tor DC, I create a folder called Toronto, then I create a folder called Montreal, and here New York, and then Washington DC, or some other city there, right, or state. You can just keep creating folders just for organization. Okay, now we have the folder, we have created a data center. Under that, if I expand the Tor DC, nothing here. If I expand the NYDC, there's nothing here. We're about to create that environment. So what's the plan now? If we go ahead with the diagram, so what we intend to do, and what we wrote there in the OneNote as well, E6i2 can be added to Tor DC. So, right, and E6i3, suppose there's a Toronto branch and one ESXi is in that branch, and that ESXi has a few virtual machines, and then there is another, and there's a New York branch, and there's one hypervisor there as well, and that is just in New York branch, so NYDC, right? Suppose that's the case. So what we can do is we're going to add ESXi2 hypervisor. That is also called joining the domain. Just like you join Windows 10 to Microsoft domain, you have to join a hypervisor to this VMware domain. So they put the concepts same, so those who are coming from Microsoft background would understand right away. Oh, that's how we do it in Microsoft. Okay, that's the same thing here. I understand. So it's just for ease of understanding and adopting this. So we're gonna add E6i2 to Tor DC, E6i3 to NYDC, and when we add, so we're about to do that. When we add, it's gonna ask for the name of the full hypervisor, and it's going to try to make a connection to that. At that time, sometimes there's a problem there, and so we're going to sort it out, that if there's a communication issue between the E6i1, E6i2, and especially the Vcsa, the virtual machine appliance that is living inside E6i1, that has the issue of connectivity with E6i2. Sometimes it happens, but it should not. So this is our next step, that we're going to add E6i2 to Tor DC and E6i3. So E6i3 is not started yet. So let's start E6i3 as well, and then let's start adding first the hypervisor E6i2 to this data center. Now we can add both E6i2, 3, 4, 5, 20, 30, 80. Suppose you have so many hypervisors and it's just one branch, one DC. So we can just keep on adding those hypervisors to just one data center as well, just to check how 2 data centers work with all the features. That's why we're doing this. Okay, so start E6i3 as well. While it is powering on, we don't have to wait for it. And then let's start adding E6i2 to Tor DC. So these are our next steps. I'm gonna go back to this. Okay, so where's my E6i3? There's my E6i3, right? So I'm gonna click that E6i3. It's 4 GB, so 4, 4, 12, 4. Okay, total 24 now. Power on. To write that. Give me 8 GB more to the college. I always forget it. Oops. Oh. Guys. Okay, so E6i3 is there, and let's carry on. So E6i3 is joining. That's okay. I'm going to go back to Win01 now. Why? Because I need to add ESXi2. I need to introduce ESXi2 to the VCSA. So I'm inside the VCSA configuration console. I'm on top of the Tor DC. I'm going to right click on the Tor DC on top of it, and it says here add host. Okay, so let's introduce A6i2 to the Tor DC. I'm going to click the add host here now, and these are all the questions it needs to ask. Host name or IP address. So it's a recommendation to add hypervisors by name. Sometimes in our labs it happens that it's just not detecting the name for DNS issues. So then we can add it by IP as well, the IP of the hypervisor, and then it's going to detect that, but it's going to appear as an IP here. So better add it as a name. Now what are the names? I need to just check it out from my DNS because I created A records for these names. So I'm going to click that server manager. I'm going to go to tools, and I'm going to go to DNS, right? That's also on Win01. And if I go to expand Win01 DNS server name, then forward lookup zone, then I expand the domain name, Microsoft domain name that is. So I see there that E6i2 is added there. I'm going to double click this, and this is the fully qualified domain name of ESXi2. So I'll copy that. I could have just remembered it and wrote it down as well. So just to show that, okay, this is the name we're going for. I'm just going to minimize this DNS, minimize this server manager, and I'll just paste it here. ESXi02.netplus.local. Okay, spellings obviously. And next. So then it says, what is the username password of the hypervisor ESXi2? So since it's a Linux machine, we can go for root, and the password is small abc, capital ABC, SHIP123 without SHIP123, right? And next. Well, after that it detects. Okay, so it shows here the certificate store of Vcenter server cannot verify the certificate. So we didn't purchase a public certificate for this machine from GoDaddy.com or digicert.com or some verisign.com. So there's a self-signed certificate right now, and it's saying, hey, is that the one you are supposed to connect? I know that I'm supposed to connect from there, but maybe I've shown that before as well. But 0781 is the way certificate is starting, and CA2A is the certificate thumbprint finishing at. I'm going to click here, E6i01 here. I just need to check, oh actually 2, sorry, I'm adding 2, right? I need to check that there, or just I want to show you that we can, where can we check? Suppose we have to check the certificate thumbprint. It's still a self-signed certificate. So if I just log into this quickly, just to show, once we log in, we can go down to this view system information, and 0781 and CA2A. So SSL thumbprint is this. So 0781 CA2A. If I go there, 0781 CA2A. So this is just to confirm that yes, we're connecting to the right one, and it's E6i2. So we can just simply click yes, although we knew it, it's okay. We could have just clicked yes. After that, sometimes the error comes that, oh, we can still not connect for some, maybe the name here is not exactly the same spelling as the name there that we directly put, or the name here is not exactly the same spelling as the DNS name that we put there. So that's why I just went to DNS and copied it from there. So at least when we're typing, it should not be different from what we put in DNS, and it should not be different from what we put in V6I2. Well, that whatever we put in DNS would be it should be same like that. Anyway, so if there are disconnections there, so it would be the name. Well, it could be any other reason as well. We can just check from the errors. So review the summary of the host, and yes, V6I2 and 7.1. Yeah, okay. I'm gonna click next. V6I2, on top of that, I did not create any virtual machine. If I go back here, it's supposed to tell me if there were any virtual machines that we directly created here. I don't see any. If you have created on V6I2, you would see here virtual machines. I think we all didn't. So I'm going to click next here. Then it says evaluation license and assignment validation for evaluation license. Okay, so nothing here. Next. Okay, so now it talks about lockdown mode. Specify whether to enable lockdown mode on the host. When enabled, lockdown mode prevents remote users from logging directly into the host. So the host will only be accessible through local console or an authorized central management application. So we may have talked about that before as well, but when you're connecting from a browser, so this is Chrome, and so if you are connecting from Chrome with http://ESXi01, you directly put that name of the hypervisor, yes, you can connect. Or this is one way to remotely connect to a hypervisor. The other way is you just directly go to DCUI console, direct console user interface, which is this. You just directly connect from here, which is also called local connection, and you can remotely connect from here with E6I1 writing there. So we've been just doing that now, right, till now. So normal lockdown mode says that from now on, if you put the normal lockdown mode on, you won't be able to connect from directly through a browser by typing E6I01. Okay, then how will we be able to connect? You will not connect. You will not be able to connect to the hypervisor through direct connection, right? You will have to connect through the Vcenter from now on. Vcenter is the boss now, right? So it would be vcsa.netplus, whatever your domain name is, .local :443. So this is the only URL from, well, remotely if you want to connect. This is the URL that from now on, with normal lockdown mode, this is the way you connect to the hypervisor. And even if you try after connecting the lockdown mode normal, you won't be able to connect directly by typing that name of hypervisor. And the other way is in normal lockdown mode, either you can connect this way or this way. These are the two ways that you can connect. But if you go for strict lockdown mode, so first of all, normal, the host is accessible only through the local console or Vcenter. And we know that local console is this DCUI. Strict is the host is accessible only through Vcenter server, the direct console UI service is stopped. That also is the case that then with strict lockdown mode, you don't get to do this as well. Your only way to connect to the hypervisor is this vcsa.netplus, right? There is no other way. So that's strict. So nobody can directly simply connect to that. But normally the data centers are really secure places for physical access, and otherwise you can still, if you want, you can put a direct connection there as well.
What's the industry best practice?
Normally it is normal. lockdown mode because
Normal.
data centers are very
Okay.
secure. So
Right.
and also that we need to troubleshoot. If we need to troubleshoot, then
Well, yeah, what if the host goes down? What if the EXI machine goes down?
what if the
Yeah.
EXI machine is down?
No, no, what if the EXI, one of the host, EXI host goes down, if you can't access the DCUI, you won't have control over it, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. So, yep, that's why we go for normal lockdown mode in majority of the cases, unless it's a military institute or some really tough environment. So we're gonna keep it to normal lockdown mode. One more thing is that some of the other services, like you want to do patching, there's a new patch for all the hypervisors. You want to patch them. You have to then remove the normal lockdown mode, otherwise the patching can also not happen. So obviously you can remove the normal lockdown mode temporarily during the weekend, during the downtime maintenance window, and then you can go ahead and simply patch the machines, then put on back the normal lockdown mode. So if we go ahead, I'm just going to click the normal lockdown mode and click next. Okay, so there is VM location is Tor DC. Yes, it is in Tor DC, Tor data center, and nothing here. Next, and ready to complete. So the first hypervisor, actually the ESXi2 hypervisor, gets added now. If everything goes well and no error comes, gets added to the VCSA, so VCSA could control it. All the aspects of this: storage, networking, virtual machines, security, scalability, high availability, everything for the hypervisor. So it's now creating that, and I can just drag this up a little because our best friend recent tasks, we need to always keep an eye on the recent tasks that sometimes we're expecting it's done, it's not done, while we're not checking the recent tasks, and maybe there's an error there, or maybe it's just in progress and we thought that it's done and we started doing something else that depends on that. First it should be done fully and then go ahead. Anyway, keep an eye on always the recent tasks, that what is the progress. So ESXi2 is added here to Tor DC. ESXi3 can be added to NYDC. So it's the same procedure now. And if I go to ESXi3, yeah, it's up and running. Seems like ESXi3, everything seems to be okay. So I'll just go to DNS, although I can just type the spellings as here as well. And ESXi3 is the A record there. We'll click that, and it's not case sensitive, but it is spelling sensitive. Okay, so I'm gonna go to NYDC and add host. It's the same thing. I'll put that name here, and if it gives an error, then it's a name issue or DNS issue. ipconfig flush DNS and try to check the spellings. Mainly it's the spellings. Okay, next, username root of the hypervisor. 23.23. Next. Yeah, we know now how to check this thumbprint as well, but we know that we're connecting to the right one. So I'm going to press yes. And review. Next. Okay, so seems like all is good. And assignment validation for evaluation license. Yeah, nothing here. Next. Now we have already discussed normal and strict mode, so we can just select normal. Next. And then next again. That's it. Finish. So the second hypervisor is being added. Now what I notice here is that my Windows machine name is wrong. The time is wrong here, which is not good. Just notice now the time is wrong. So I need to make sure that the time is fixed. Adjust date and time. Okay, did not set it up automatically. I'll just I just changed that set automatically. And really, yeah, I'm back. Eastern time, yeah. Time zone is okay. So after a while, I think it's gonna change it. So these are the steps, and now once the hypervisor is fully added, I can see in the recent task for this task as well that the third hypervisor also got added. Yep.
Amr, when you click on Tor DC and you click on the drop down, I believe VM network. I'm not getting the name of the EXSI host.
You're not getting the name of the ESXi host.
Yeah, I believe the VM network. If you want, I can share my screen.
Yeah, sure.
Let's have a look.
So,
Yes. So I'm getting this when I click on there, VM network. But if I go to the host, I can see the host is there.
oh, okay. So you're already ahead of me. So,
Okay.
so this is yeah. I'm going to be explaining all this VM and storage and networking. In fact, I was just going there. So, but yes, it's never gonna. So network side never shows hosts. It just shows the VM network or the distributed switch that you. It only shows that. It never shows the host.
No, I get it. But when you click on your this below your drop down and like this, you get something else. You get a server name, right?
Nope.
The ESXi
No, that
server
host
name.
is
I believe
server
VM.
name. It
Okay,
does not
fine.
show that. It does not show the server
Okay.
name.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So let me connect back. Oh. Okay. Share the screen. Okay, so if we go back, yeah. So we're here, and there are these all sections, and so the first one is hosts and clusters here, and then host and cluster. That's where we're going to spend a lot of time, most of the time of the course here, host and clusters, and then there is that VMs, virtual machines that you will see here, whatever virtual machines you have, right? And if I expand that Tor DC or expand that NYDC, so it is not showing any. Then there is storage, and storage if we expand. Yep. Is there any questions? Let me know. Okay, guys. So let's mute the mic once you're done. Questions to you. Okay, so this is storage, and in the storage we can see data store 1 that is the local disk based data store in ESXi2, because ESXi2 is the only hypervisor that is added to Tor DC. But if you want to check that, hey, where does that data store, which hypervisor it belongs to? Suppose you have 20 hypervisors here or 200 hypervisors here. So you can select the data store and then check on this host. So this data store here on the left side and hosts. So yes, you're connected to this data store is it belongs to ESXi2, but data store 1, it is the local data store, because the LUN-based data stores we created as this with this naming convention. If I expand that NYDC, so this is also showing the same thing, but this data store 1 is the data store 1 of ESXi3. This data store 1 up there is the data store of ESXi2. But if you select the LUN-based data stores, so it still shows ESXi2 here and still shows ESXi3, but it's the same data store that is connected to both hypervisors. They're not different. So data store 1 and data store 1, these are actually different independent local data stores, while this one and this one, they're just one data store. They're just shared with ESXi3 as well as ESXi2. So that's why they're showing on different sites. So, but just it's going to be a bit confusing. But the data store 1 is local; they're different. This is just one data store that you're seeing on both hypervisors, because it's on top of a LUN that is attached to both hypervisors. Okay, so if I go to the network here, then there is expansion here toward EC, and if I go to US, NYDC, VM network. So now here inside the data store, data center here, this is the data center. We see VM network. Now VM network is what? Oh, memory exhaustion. Now I get that too. So anyway, VM network is the that port group, the default port group that gets created when the hypervisor is created. This is the default port group. So since it is connected to hypervisor ESXi2, so this is the only port group that is there in ESXi2, right? So this port group is connected to the virtual standard switch. Virtual standard switch is connected to physical. So this VSS has a PG port group. They all have one PG here, right? And that is called VM network, right? And this is VSS is connected. Virtual standard switch is connected to a physical NIC here. So that PG is showing if I all tap back. So this VM network is connected to host ESXi2. This VM network is connected to host ESXi3, and yeah. So when we will be creating more port groups there, but what you don't see here is that you don't see the virtual standard switch here, and if you want to see which host is connected to, you just see it that way. That VM network and then the host here on the right side. Okay guys, so the hosts and clusters area here, we haven't created the cluster yet, but this is what it's called. VMs and templates is this one, storage is this one. I don't know why it's not popping up. Normally it pops up the names as well. Network here. So I'm going to go back to the hosts and clusters here, right? So we added the folder just for organization. We don't have to. We could have added directly data center here, but we added a folder, then we added the data center, and then we added one host in one data center. Other host was added to the other data center inside another folder. So it pretty much looks organized. Suppose we had two branches, and that's all we were connecting. Now the two hosts have been added. So yeah, this one is done, and then there is move the VM01, which is on local disk based data store, to LAN01 based data store. So we have a virtual machine that we created earlier in earlier classes that is living on top of local disk-based data store, right? So that local disk-based data store on top of which the virtual machine is, we don't need that virtual machine to be there. We need that virtual machine to be on a LAN-based data store. So what I'm talking about is, in the diagram, that let's go for so there is another virtual machine that is there. I think I was not able to create at that time a virtual machine. Wow, it's not changing colors. What is wrong with this? It's just red. Cool. Strange. Okay, so we have a virtual machine here that is VM01. And if you have a virtual machine on a local disk-based data store, obviously when the physical server hypervisor goes down, it will take down that machine with it. So the recommendation is always to go for creating a virtual machine on top of a LAN-based data store. Now, if this is in a local disk-based data store, so what do? We can move this virtual machine and its files on top of a LAN-based data store as well, which is also called migration. Basically, what we want to do is to move actually its disk to this data store, right? But we also know one more thing. This data store has the most critical asset of our environment, and that is Vcsa. So instead of moving this machine to this LAN-based data store, we do have two other LANs as well, right? And we need to check if did we create really, now it's just red.
Click on color 1. See where it's red? Click on color 1.
Oh, color. Oh, yeah. Ah. Okay, I've been using this for 5-6 years, and this is the first time. Okay, thank you. So color 2, I would want to use, but thank you for that. And I'm gonna go ahead. Oh, okay, so that's what you were saying. Sorry. And so we need to. How about we just populate the other LANs here with the data stores, so we don't have to actually populate the one LAN that has the most critical asset of this whole environment, our Vcsa. Now we in our environment, yes, even if we put this virtual machine up here, it's okay, it doesn't matter. But just to be, keeping every other resource a bit separate and giving this VIP machine, the Vcsa, that's helping us manage the whole environment, have its own data store all by itself. So for that, we're just going to go for this machine to be moved to the other data store. So in order to do that, do we have that data store already created on the other LAN or not? If it is already there, yes, we can just start moving this machine. If it's not there, then let's create the second data store and the third data store. And when it came to down to the naming convention, obviously it is for the second data store, we can go for W1 DS1 LAN1, and the data store for the third one. So the naming convention, we can just keep it. So they all come from Windows 1 machine, and it's DS2 LAN2. So let's create the rest of the data stores, LAN-based data stores, and then we can just do the moving of the storage of virtual machine VM01 from the local disk-based data store to the LAN-based data store. So let's create LANs 1 and 2. 0 is already there, 1 and 2, and then move the machine up there as well. So we're going to go back here, and first thing is we need to go to the storage. Now, how can we create a new data store? If I right click directly here, I'm inside where? I'm inside the hosts and clusters section, right? So here there's a DC under which my hypervisor is there. So if I right click on the DC itself, right, and go to, there's a storage written here. So we can create a data store from this section as well, right? We can create a data store from this section, or if I just click anywhere else and actually go to the storage area where we are supposed to create data stores, so let's go to the storage area as well. In fact, let's do it from there. So here, now it's all about storage only, right? So it's only showing you data stores, local and LUN based. So we're gonna right click on the data store here. It shows the same options here as well, but this is the correct section from where we can start, although we can still create from there, the other section as well. Okay, so I right click on the Tor DC here and storage, and it says new data store. So let's create a new data store on LUN 1 and new data store on LUN 2. And if we go there, so now remember that we created the data store on top of ESXi1 from within the hypervisor. Now we're creating that data store from within the VCSA as well. So VMFS based data store we can create, NFS Linux based data stores, Linux shared folder based data stores we can create, and Vvol create a virtual volumes data store on a storage container connected to a storage provider, which is on any actual SAN. On top of that, you can create a data store directly with the help of Vvol. So VMFS based data store is what we really need because all the advanced features will work here on top of this. So we'll keep it selected and click next. And then it asks that, okay, so where is what is the data store name? Okay, so data store name is W1 because it's coming from Windows 1 machine, and then it's now DS1 that because DS0 is already created, and we're supposed to put it on top of LUN 1. Okay, so this is the name according to the diagram. Where is that LUN? If I go down here, because we haven't chosen the host, so it's not showing here yet. So there's a select a host showing here. So I'm going to click that, and it only shows me ESXi2. Why? In this data center Tor DC, only ESXi2 is there. Suppose I had added ESXi 3, 4, 5, 6, 20, 30, 80, all hosts here, so all those hosts would have been shown and I could have clicked on any host. Although it's just gonna be attached to every other host that is there if you have attached the LUNs. Okay, so I'm going to select the ESXi2. As soon as I select that, now the remaining LUNs are showing there. In fact, so LUN 2 is not showing, but LUN 0 and 1 are showing. Okay, that's strange. This means I connected the previous one to LUN 2 while naming it LUN 0. Okay, so I had named it LUN 1, so there's LUN 1 here, and you can select this LUN 1 here, and once you selected that, then we can click next. VMFS 6 enables advanced format 512E and automatic space reclamation support. So it's kind of defragmenting automatically as well whatever space is available, while the backward compatibility is Vmware in case you have older hypervisors still deployed there. So we're going to stick to VMFS 6 and click next. Okay, so partition configuration and use all available partitions, yes, or select a configuration. That's only the option here that is selectable, use all configuration. We can just check it out if you want to use the full or you want to use half of it. So if I drop down here, so it shows you how much you want to use it, and then the block size and space reclamation granularity and space reclamation priority. Whenever space reclamation, suppose you deleted a data there and you want to reclaim a space, then it does take then it does slow down the IOPS from the disk. So if it's low priority, then it if the disk is busy and a lot of data is being retrieved and written, so it could it would just run on low priority and not taking over the whole IOPS input output data per second and slowing down the whole disk and hence slowing down the whole process. So we're gonna keep it as default and 299 GB, and I'm gonna click next. Ready to complete and finish. So recent tasks shows completed. Okay, so this is it's showing here DS1 LUN 1, and it will be showing very soon here. If we refresh that, there's a local refresh here. Yeah, there's a refresh here, this one. Oh yeah, it was already showing there. So it appears on both because the same LUN is attached to both hypervisors. And then we can just go for the third LUN. Now the third LUN is, the naming is wrong here now. DS0 is actually created on LUN 2 in my case. Well, it's just in training environment, it may not be a big deal. So we can just still go for DS2 LUN 2, but we're actually assigning in the background LUN 0. We could delete it and just correct the naming, but overall it's still just the naming. So it's in production environment it might matter, but here we can just carry on. We need to understand more complicated stuff. I'm going to right click here. Now I can right click here and create a storage, and we know that if I right click and create storage from here, yes, we can do that too. It's going to still appear on both sides, right, because the same LUN is attached to both. So I'll just click on NYDC and right click and create storage. It actually doesn't matter, just going to the other side anyway. And new data store, so storage and new data store here as well. Still VMFS. Next. So still coming from Windows 1 machine. DS2 LUN 2. So underlying LUN is actually 0. DS2, right? So it is also from LUN 0. The previous one is only wrong that it is on LUN 2. This is actually on 0. So how about if we can change it? That at least we will know on top of which LUN is there, although there may not be any usage of this throughout the course on any lab. But just the actual solution is that DS2 is also on LUN, is on LUN 0. Oh, actually, yeah. Sorry to confuse you. This DS0 is on.
I saw that you can rename it. That there was an option to rename the one that's named wrong. Is that something we can do?
Yeah. Okay. Let me just close that. Let me close that. If we right click here, yes, we can rename it. Yeah. Okay. It's still going to be okay. That's a good observation there. DS2 and LUN 2. Cool. Thank you for that. And press OK. And yeah, let's right click here and go for it. Storage, new data store, VMFS, next. So we can go for W1 and DS0, LUN 0, and go for Vcsa 2. So there's only LUN 0 here. Let's select that and next. Okay, so this is just DS0 LUN 0 through Vcsa 2 we're creating, where it's going to be attached to both. Next, and VMFS 6. So we're going to stick to VMFS 6. Next, and yes, we're going to use the whole 299 and next, and finito. Alright, so Okay, now the three are three alarms are showing here, and all right, so yeah, that renaming I did there, it didn't reach here yet, so I'll refresh it and hopefully it reaches. Otherwise I'll just rename it manually here on this as well, because the connectivity sync may not work for renaming. So if it was a lot of other, so I'm just going to go to the other one and just right click and rename manually here as well. Hopefully that does not complicate. Normally when the name is given, it is registered in so many places, so sometimes in future it could give some kind of I'm sure it's not gonna, but sometimes surprises come in a way that we're not expecting. Okay, so, and the name surprise.
I love surprises.
Yeah, if we are able to resolve that as soon as possible, yes, they're lovely. Okay, so I'm going to minimize this, and let's check it out what we were able to do. So based on this, create the other two data stores. This is actually done first, and then we can go for the move the VM01. Now let's move that to the LUN-based data store, or DS1 or DS2. And no, current DS2 is now having our, so let me just correct that, because of the naming convention messed up by me. So now our most critical asset is on 2 instead of, oh sorry, not this one, so it's on 2. So 2 would be the one that we're not going to touch. We're going to go for 0 and 1 for any other virtual machine, and we're just going to treat this as total VIP because it is. This goes down, we just have to remotely connect to the hypervisors, then the central management is gone then. So okay, this is 2, so we can just keep in mind that it would be 1 and 0 that we are actually going to work on. 1 and 0. Okay, let's go ahead, and where is our VM01? Now, as I remember, I think I was having issues with Windows and I was not able to actually install it. If you are, so now one more thing is that we did not add that hypervisor from which we can connect to VM0. So where is VM0? It's on ESXi1 actually, right? And we added ESXi2 to the data center, to the VCSA. We added ESXi3 to the VCSA, but we haven't added ESXi1 yet. So we can also add ESXi1. So we're going to introduce that, hey, this is a VCSA, you're actually sitting on this guy here, ESXi1. So then you will be able to see here that the virtual machine that we created on ESXi1 will be showing here. So how do we add it and where do we add it? We can still add it to a TOR-DC, anyone actually, and later we can create further structure if we want. Once it is added, then we can simply decide what to do. So let's add that first hypervisor where this machine itself is living, and I'm going to right click on TOR-DC. We know the drill now, that we just need to go for add host and simply give a name and next finish. It gets added and you get to see all the machines then. So I'm going to click add host here, and it's asking, hey, what's the name? So I have a DNS open there, although we can just type it obviously, and copy host name. 1.netplus.local. Next, we know it's root. So Linux machine, smart Vcsa 123, enter. Next, it pops up the thumbprint. Yes, it's okay. And then it goes review summary. You want to connect? Yeah. And it does show me the virtual machine VMware Vcenter server, but when you're adding, you should be seeing 2 machines there. I just see 1 machine. Next. Next. Okay. This machine need not be directly connected as well. But you know what? If we had to remotely connect for troubleshooting purpose, right? Well, there are 2 ways. Either we don't connect it now to any lockdown mode and keep it as is for training environment, or we also connect this one there. But suppose we have a frozen connection now to the virtual machine. Somehow we're not connecting, and if we remotely want to connect from this to hypervisor to just check that what happened to this VCSA, so we won't be able to connect because normal mode is created there. In that case, because it's not strict mode, so we can go inside here and then disable normal mode manually, and then come back and connect to the hypervisor just to check that what happened to this VCSA, right? So this means that we would rely on our direct access here to mitigate any network connectivity to the VCSA after enabling this. So it's just a extra security option here, and what I can do is normal, but we can expect some errors there as well. The new builds normally have some different functionality introduced to this as well. So I'm just going to click normal here for now and click next. If we get disconnected right after this, this means that the new build, where I was hearing that, okay, there are some more features added, so it could have taken effect. Let's just go ahead. Normally it's supposed to be secure as well, and in fact this one is the one that should be mostly secured. Why would anyone else be allowed to connect to it by just typing 6i1 while we have the critical machine here? Okay, so I'm going to click next here and finito, and 0%, 80%, Week5, 90, retrieving data from completed. I see E6i1 here as well, and if I expand that, when you expand that, you would see 2 machines. I'm seeing 1 machine here. What I can do is I can just simply quickly create, which you can ignore. I can simply quickly create 1 virtual machine on a local disk. Why? Because we will be moving that, so I need to show you actually that VM01, what do we need to do there. So what I will quickly do is, which you can ignore now and don't follow me on this, is E6i1 next, and data store. I'm just creating it deliberately on local data store because you guys all have this on local data store. I'll just quickly do that and finish it, but it's an empty one. You have a operating system one as well. I don't want it to have 4 GB, just 1 GB. Second thing, it should not be thick provision, it should be thin. That's what we all did, and I'm just quickly doing that. So okay, so it's gonna get created. Okay, so this VM you should be seeing as well, but it should be turned off. Suppose you have a blue, the green arrow there, so you can just, this means that if the green arrow is there, this means it's powered on. If green arrow is not there, it's not powered on, right? So if I right click here and power, so well, that's for you to power off. You can just go right click here. If it is powered on, just power it off. Why? Because we're about to move it from local data store to LAN-based data store 1 or 0, right? Okay, so I'm gonna go for now in your case, if you had to rename like me, then you're okay with 1 and 0, right? I'll stick to 1 for now. So what we need to do is just simply move it away, right? So what are we moving? We are moving the storage of the virtual machine 1 from local data store to LAN-based data store, right? So how to move a storage? So I'm going to right click on this machine, go ahead and right click on the virtual machine, and there is a migrate button, right? And there's a move to folder button as well, but we're going to go for migrate. Obviously this is not a Vmotion, because Vmotion involves that the virtual machine is powered on and moved, right? So this is not Vmotion. So there is change compute resource only, which means that change from one hypervisor to another. Change storage only. This is what we're going for. That only change the files of the virtual machine. Location, move all the files of the virtual machine, which is pretty much the whole folder of this virtual machine with its VMDK, which is the virtual disk, and the other files, vmem, and also other extra files there. So there is that change storage only. I'm going to select that if it was working out of E6i1, let it work out of E6i1. We can change that later as well. But right now, please change its storage. Now, in my case, it's an empty machine. In your case, it has an operating system. So it might take longer time for the same step for you, while it might finish very early for me. So I'm going to click this change storage only. The third one is actually both, that you want a virtual machine to not only change the hypervisor, but also to change the data stores as well. So that's the third option. But we're going to go for second. We're just changing its storage and click next. So it says that, okay, you want to move just the storage of the virtual machine, just the files of the virtual machine, so where? And that's so it just shows me this, although why is it not showing the other data stores? That's not good. The other data stores should be shown here. We don't have to really restart this, but okay, for now 2 is where our other machine is living, but 2 has a lot of space, like 300 GB, 400 GB. So I just see this, and later I can move it from there as well, but right now I'm just moving it away from here, local data store. So I'll click next and finish. So well, it's an empty machine, so it's just gonna finish right away, but for you it has an operating system, so it might take time. This is the time for break as well. So let's take a break and then come back. So yeah, 420, 520. So 420. Actually, it's not 20. It's already 9. So 429. Okay, break. Muting and pausing. Resuming. All right. Excuse me. Oh, okay. So we've gone to create the two data stores, and then yeah. Hopefully, it was all moved. So normally when it is done moving, so now you can see the machines there. But make sure that the virtual machine that we moved is not powered on. We don't need it to be powered on now, but later we will when we go for Vmotion and for any other lab. And we're going to be creating more virtual machines, but those will be more like empty virtual machines. We're going to be needing those. So many of the external features don't need a operating system inside. But if we have more and more virtual machines that are having an operating system when they start, then they will take over the RAM the limited RAM that we already have. Anyway, I will explain that later as well. So our next step, I'll just try to open another page here, and just give me a sec, guys. I'll just. So we need to connect to the AD as well. Now there's the menu, there is administration and global system configuration. I'm just checking certain stuff here that needs to be there. First configuration, administration and then configuration, identity provider and Active Directory domain. So we do, okay, so that's our next step, and that is, let me just write it down before we go to the virtual machine management, the permissions, right? So joining AD, Active Directory with Vcenter. So why would you want to do that? And pretty much you will see that in every medium to large size companies, even in smaller companies, where if Active Directory is there, so all the users are created inside Active Directory when they are joining the company. But after that, those users which are created in Active Directory need to be added to the Vcsa as well, and that Vcsa within the Vcsa, the users need to be given higher or lower privileges, right? So the first thing is that the Vcsa needs to be attached to Active Directory for all this, and then we can just create a scenario there where we can create two users, and in fact we can create two users and two security groups in Active Directory, and one would be the administrator group and one administrator user, and the other can be desktop support group and a desktop user. So we need to just check the privileges as well, and for that, first of all, the identity provider, so ID provider is Active Directory, or the credentials provider, authentication authorization provider. So how to connect the Vcsa to Active Directory, that's the first then lab we can do. For that, let's just go back to our this Vcsa. Now I'm gonna make this screen as full screen here, and I'm gonna go back to where we were. I'm gonna click that vSphere client here. First I'll click that, and where we were was in hosts and cluster. So that's where we were, right? Now we need to attach the Active Directory to this Vcenter, and for that what we need to do is we can go to the menu here, and menu just shows all the major all the main sections of the VCSA. That's the first thing. And second thing is we need to go way down to administration here. So once we click the administration, so there are then with access control, licensing, solutions, deployment, support, single sign-on, certificates, right? So obviously that's all in the administration, and I'm under actually access control here. If I just collapse this or then expand it again, so you can see under access control are the roles, and roles, there's a administrator role, and you can see already description is full access rights for the administrator under the roles under access control. And if I still keep the administrator selected, then there is usage, and which accounts have or which group this administrator is added to, user and groups, and then there are privileges on the right side. So there are privileges here, and pretty much obviously the administrator should have everything. There is alarms and everything in the alarms, permissions, modify permission, modify privilege, modify role, reassign role, auto deploy, and certificates. We keep going down. That's you can see here, that's a long list here of pretty much what you can do in this whole environment. So obviously administrator would have that. Also you can see roles provider is just now vsphere.local, which is our vcenter domain. Then there is read-only and no access, pretty self-explanatory. App D appliance user can alarms. So you can just check that. Auto updater, update user, content library administrator, content library registry administrator, data store consumer, network administrator. Now they also show sample here. We can create our custom roles here as well. NSX administrator, which is the networking portion in depth of the vSphere networking product. Here you have to have a separate expensive license for NSX to control all the networking side of it. Resource pool administrator, supervisor, but it goes down a lot of roles are there. You can also see that there are virtual machine console user, virtual machine power user, right? So just browse data store, cancel task, create task, virtual machine, change configuration is there for virtual machine, change settings, everything, interaction with the virtual machine, snapshot of a virtual machine. So virtual machine power user would be, ideally a desktop support guys can be given virtual machine power user role as well. Virtual machine user, power on, some configuration changes, but it's pretty straightforward. And then vSphere Kubernetes manager, vSphere client solution, VMware, consolidated backup user. So obviously you would want a backup admin there as well. And VM operator controller manager, vstats admin. Just for auditors, you can just give this as well as a statistics admin, and vstats user, workload storage manager. So there are 32 roles here that you can see, and there is clone. You can see here clone role action. So you can clone a role from here and then create your own role, or you can just edit role action here as well, or you can just create role action as well. So there are roles, then there are global permissions under the role on the left side, and that's where you can see, first of all, you can just see one domain here. We haven't started seeing our Active Directory domain, but once we are done with that, adding the Active Directory here, then you will see the Active Directory showing here. In fact, if I go for Server Manager on the Windows machine here, this one, Netplus.local is our domain name. I just wanted to know that. So that domain should be also added here or showing here. But anyway, these are the global permissions provider and administrators group is there as well, which administrator is part of, and they all have global permissions according to their roles. And other than that, there's licensing in the administration, and you can add actual licenses, and the products are can be added. Assets can be shown there. What are the assets there? How many hosts are there in the assets? 3 hosts are there. vCenter clusters, we haven't created much, and vCenters, how many we deployed? Just 1 vCenter we deployed. Supervisor clusters, well, we don't have clusters yet, but once we have, you will see. And any other solutions you have, so all these comes in the licenses. Client plugins, so you already have some plugins available here. VMware Cloud Director availability. VMware Cloud Director would really, Cloud Director is that software from VMware that you can connect to the VMware Cloud, as well as you can download your VMware Cloud Director software and remotely offer VMware Cloud on your own hardware as well. OpenStack, you just download their software, cloud software, and put it on your own hardware and offer cloud offerings, those cloud services to others. VMware VROPS, ROAFs, VROPS, that is VMware Vcenter. So there are some plugin here. If you're using those features, then obviously you would be interested. And vSphere server extensions, as it keeps going on. vSphere ESX Agent Manager, these are already added server extensions, and vSphere vService Manager. So some of the background services that are needed there as an extension. Deployment, system configuration, customer experience improvement. So system configuration right now, what is that? It says degraded. You will see that, that CPU exhaustion and degradation of services. If I am on system configuration and there's a degraded here, there's a I information button here. So it says memory degraded. Obviously I gave 10 GB. What do I expect? So it would really require more memory, and I've already put that in the message there. Hey, I really need some memory. Okay, but degraded other than memory, I will try to check if I can increase some more memory here. It's going to be a lot of juggling going on of memory, but otherwise there is no other major issue here. A customer improvement program, well, okay. If we go down further, if you want to join that customer improvement program, it will just then send all the technical information of your environment to VMware so they could improve their software. Support upload file to service request. So this is a good support ticket you can create there, and whatever kind of logs they want you to be uploading to their site for them to investigate, you can just load it from here. Now we're in single sign-on users and groups, so you can add users from local OS as well, which is our Windows machine, or obviously the users can be created on their own VMware domain called vsphere.local. But what we are interested in right now, so there are some users that are showing there. Many of the Linux daemons and some users of some services we haven't even started using yet, but we're going to be coming back here to check out these. But what we need to do is we need to go to single sign-on and configuration here. Well, before we go ahead and try to add, last one here is certificate management and certificates. So trusted root certificates, and you can add SSL certificates by purchasing it from the domain register, certificate authority, CAs, right? And so this is the area where you can manage all the certificates of applications and other appliances that you download from VMware or third party. So I'm going to go up to single sign-on. Under single sign-on we have configuration here, and the configuration here is identity providers, local accounts, and login messages. So when we go to identity provider, you can see here Active Directory domain. So there is the node didn't join any Active Directory, and which node? The Vcsa node hasn't joined Active Directory. So there is a join AD. So it's as if it looks like we're joining a Windows 10 to domain, but it's, well, the Vcenter will be joining. The exact terminology is used. So I'm going to click the join AD here. Once you click join AD, so it needs to know the domain name. Okay, so our domain name, if I go to the server manager, we already know it is, or whatever domain name you give, or in my case, I've given netplus.local. So it is netplus.local is the domain name. Remember that we are also logged in from, if I go to that Windows account here, right, and hover the, so we're already logged in from enterprise administrator of Microsoft here, NetAdmin, where it's NetAdmin, yeah. So we're already logged in from the highest privileged account of Microsoft domain. So organizational unit optional username. So it needs a username as well, and obviously join Active Directory domain. If I go for Windows user netadmin and password for Windows, I think I gave the same class password there as well. So small abc, capital ABC, shift123 without shift123. So this is like simple information here, right? So I'm just gonna click join here, and it does say reboot the node to apply changes. Wow, as if we're joining Windows 10. So if we click join, the value provided as the current password is incorrect, caused by the value provided as the current password. Oh, I hope I did use that password. I'm sure I did. Okay. Oh, I did not. Okay, I'll change it to XYZ. Capital XYZ, shift123, dot shift123. No kidding. Yeah, we can go for administrator as well. Administrator at netplus.local, and the password small abc, capital ABC, shift123, dot shift123. So that's just the full UPN I'm putting there. Oh, really? You know, when this comes, it just says, can you please log out and log in again? So browsers do that from time to time, and whatever we are doing, we're in the middle of it, and it comes, so we have to stop that. Sign out, sign in. Authenticated, no longer authenticated. Okay. Okay, it brought us back, and I'll go for Active Directory domain, and then join AD. So domain name is netplus.local. Then, well, instead of administrator, I'll still try first with netadmin, because it has all the accounts at netplus.local, netadmin at netplus, or administrator, or because we did not disable it as well. See, let me see, so netadmin at netplus.local, password and the domain name. It has all the privileges, so oh, okay, it is kicking me out again. that's what I'm doing. Okay, so it still says that you know, I'm not going to let you join, and I'll just go with administrator username now. Okay. I'm sure this is my domain name, and it's not supposed to be case sensitive, but and administrator add netplus.local. I'll put it without domain as well, because it's supposed to accept just the username password as it has been doing it.
Mine worked. Do you want to share my screen?
Oh, yours worked with
NetAdmin.
only administrator?
NetAdmin. I just use a NetAdmin user.
Okay, NetAdmin at the domain or?
No, just NetAdmin.
Oh, okay. Let me just try this last time.
Yeah.
That is what? Okay. So, oh, okay. Yeah. If you can, yeah, share the screen. Thank you. Different labs, different experience. Wow. I think I have to restart that whole VCSA and then try it again, or simply close this browser and open it again. Alright, so you got, so if you can, oh yeah, it shows there, and if you can click the identity sources bit on the top, if you go down, Active Directory domain is written there right above this. Yeah, so identity sources, if you click the add now on the right side, yeah, there's a, and it says here, yeah, you can continue Windows authentication and Active Directory integrated authentication, because Active Directory single sign-on is not currently joined to any domain. Go to the Active Directory domain page to join that. Yeah, that is also already done. You can drop down that, yeah, this one, Active Directory overall tab. No, all others are, so it's supposed to now show here that no error and use machine account. Yeah, so let's cancel out from here, and let's go to active. You can refresh the whole screen. Yeah, click that first. Okay, sorry. And it showed you successful. I'm sure it did. So
You're asking for a reboot. Do you want me to reboot
oh
it?
yes,
Okay.
oh yes.
Okay.
Well, I thought you did already. So it has to be reported.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I said join AD, it's already was joined, but let's try it again.
Mm-hmm. So after that, normally, yeah, we have to reboot, but okay.
Okay, you want to reboot
Yeah.
it?
Yeah, you were saying? Oh, you want to power
Reboot the Vmcenter, right? The Vcenter.
So there's a power VM and
Restart
yes.
guest OS.
Yes. Okay. I think you gave 12 GB RAM, so it may take a little time for this to. Okay, so after that,
Permission to perform this operation denied. Why? Exercise and reboot. It's on.
only the virtual machines. Oh yeah, you know why?
Yeah.
Because we added it to the VCSA and what?
And we change it to a different storage point, right? Data storage.
No,
We change it.
it would. This is in lockdown mode now, so you can't directly connect unless what?
Unless you go back here and you made the changes.
So if we have to go, we have to directly F2 it and then go to the lockdown mode, disable it manually, then come back and then remotely connect. Although if you have restarted, so it will actually be starting on. It should be on its way. But yeah, this is the login mode. If you press enter, yeah, uncheck that with the spacebar, that X sign, yeah, and press OK. Enter. And on the keyboard.
Come on.
And once
No, it's not enabled.
it is disabled now, so it's okay. Once press escape here. Only once.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it. So it does not ask for a saving of this or restart of any services. So it's already implemented. Now you can go to Win01 and remotely connect and check it out. That if the machine is coming back. Alright, and yeah, it seems like it's up, and maybe on the login screen, then yeah,
It looks up.
yeah, and
Okay.
yeah, so the thing is, yeah, we can just ping it, or we can just wait for
Let's try reloading it.
yeah, wait for it services to fully start.
Right, all the services start. I get it. That takes around some 10 minutes. Yep.
Yeah. So it's all about then how much RAM and CPU we gave, and the sooner it will start if more RAM is there.
I can give you control, right?
Sorry?
On this share, I can give you a control also,
Yes,
right?
actually you can. I was about to mention that. Excuse me.
How do I give you control?
Check. You know, this I'll check if I can request control. In Teams, it is really easy.
Simple. Yeah.
Invite and mind, connect. Wait, right click on the top. Talk apartment installation chat. Make presenter. Wait, right click on the class, change role. Assign privileges. If you right click on my account on the right side, then you can click assign privileges.
Make presenter. Let me see. Yeah. Okay. Yes.
Oh, I lost your screen.
Okay. Yeah. Let me share again. There's an option to.
Message options, copy, that option should be just in front of us.
Why you got a screen share option?
Yeah, it should be beside screen share option. Well, while this is going on, we can also check out if, oh yeah, it's still trying.
Yeah, it looks okay.
Meeting, any document, thumbnails, check all, communicate, cancel. Okay. Wow. It's Cisco. It's I'm sure it's here. Okay. How to give remote control on WebEx. Recent share top of the screen and click the sign. Oh, there's a sign as well on the top of the screen.
A sign. A sign. Yeah. Yeah.
Is there? Okay.
Yeah. Make the presenter pass keyboard control to. Yeah, I can pass it to you.
Okay.
Brand control. Brand control.
Oh yeah, now I can see take control here.
You're right. You're right.
Okay. Oh, now I'm moving it. Cool. And Vcsa Netplus.net UI. Okay. So, well, first we can just check if we can manage it. Oh, when I click, it's not clicking.
Okay.
But you see my mouse there, so I think where my mouse is there, you may go there and click it.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, if you refresh this.
Let me make this middle.
Yeah, it's VCSA. Whenever we started our Vcenter, it's always pain. It takes long time for the services to start. And well, it's all about refresh and while it is going on, I'll just restart my machine as well.
Funny, just logged in sometime back.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So it's just a matter of time.
Yeah, good. Everything is good.
And refresh. Yeah, it should open now. Select directory and
This is same machine unknown.
yeah, so it's just taking time to get started. So you got 12 GB, I got actually 10 GB. So that is while I'm just trying.
Okay, this sign comes in little start in some time.
Yeah. So on my side, I also shut down my machine. Then, since I enabled lockdown mode, so on my side, I'm just going to do the same thing. and then Win01 thread to connect remotely to my machine. Okay. Sometimes just to free up memory, if any of the hypervisors we're not using, I shut it down as well, but now I think we are near it, so it should be okay. So I'll just power on. I also shut down on my side the machine and I'm powering on. I'll just leave it there. So whenever it's powered on, that'll connect. Okay, on your side, so the Vcenter, they just added that new information there that it needs to be restarted after joining from Active Directory, but Vcenter used to just simply simply join easily. Okay, so okay, Mike, guys, give me a second. Okay. Wow, that would take ages. So in the background, I've also started. So if mine is there for some reason, it's back earlier. I don't think it's gonna be back earlier. Down switch. Administration. And on my side, I'm just trying to go for administration, and yeah, it's also thinking. So implementing is really a pain. So there is that URL that I'll just copy on OneNote for. This is just other step-by-step configurations for. I'll go for how to add 80 to Vcenter to 80 actually. Vcsa to 80. I'll put a link there as well on OneNote. Okay, so it showed the URL and On my side, I'm just shutting down the A6i3 and wow, my machine is also screaming since I started. On my side also management, VMware management has started. Okay, so you're nearly there. Okay, finally. Well, I shut down A6i3 and it's going a bit faster. Okay, so all right. So there is that other link that I'll just add here, and one more. Wait. Okay, so oh, you're in, and yeah, so administration. Oh no, we have to click the VCSA first on the top. Wow, I can. That's pretty strange. It doesn't let me click. Just let me move the mouse. So once we click the VCSA, then we click the menu. Yep, menu, and then administration. So the VCSA is the top, the Vcenter. And then we go to single sign-on and configuration. Yeah. Yeah, our entity providers, Active Directory, let's check it out. So it says Active Directory netplus.local organizational unit. Yes, so it created that. Now what we can do is we can go on the left side, and there is global permissions on the top here. Where on the top, access control on the top. Yeah, global permissions. And yes, are we able to see netplus.local? Well, we can click the plus sign here on the left side. Yeah. And oh, it's local OS or vsphere.local it is showing. So this means that Active Directory has not been added yet. One more thing we can do is that we can restart this domain controller as well, Win01. Yeah, restart this one, and although yeah, okay, yeah, continue. So it was successful, but it's still not showing. Normally we just have to restart the Vcenter server, but it's showing everything so slow. Okay. So since the Vcenter is up and running already, so we should be connected easily. So UI and the 443 is the same URL. Okay. Okay, we need to go down. There's one more thing we need to, yeah, same configuration area, the second sign-on configuration, and also in identity provider, in identity sources, let's click add there. Now it's okay. Now it's showing user principal name. It is showing and user and password. So what we can do is we have to add here as well. Before it was just giving an error. Now after restart of Active Directory, which is still not in the documentation that we should start Active Directory, but it's not showing. So what we can do is use machine account, or if you can click the second one, that is user principal name, and then it is asking, we don't have to put a service principal name, although it says here star. We don't have to put that. We can just put username password down below, and that would be our Windows username password. Yeah, netadmin. But okay, so it actually shows you the exclamation mark up there in netadmin. No, in net. So it's going to be the netadmin at netplus.local in username. And above there is no A, so we can remove that A. We're going to first check. This field is required, it says. So in that case, we can sts/example.com. Now there, yeah, okay, so if we can go for the other one, which is above one, use machine account. Above, oh, yeah, add, yeah, you're right. Yeah, use machine account, that's it. So it gets added here, Active Directory Integrated Windows Authentication. So two steps were there. First one was the Active Directory domain that shows here, Active Directory domain, and the second step was its identity sources, right? Two steps. Once that is done, then we can go up to global permissions here on the left side under administration, and we can just click the plus sign, and what we're expecting there is that the Active Directory, yes, our domain should show up. Exactly, that's what we were expecting, and it's happening now. But now what we can create a scenario is we're going to create, so netadmin already has full permission, so we can add netadmin here as an administrator. So in the user group area we can type netadmin. So netadmin is already a enterprise admin in Microsoft, but here it is nothing in Vcenter. Now what role you want be given to netadmin is showing here. If you, yeah, there you go. So all the roles are there. Whatever you want that to be administrator, yes, we want this user to be an administrator, but that's one thing. So propagate to children, we need to click that too, which means that the whole environment of Vcenter should be in control by this administrator and not just the top Vcenter level. So yeah, press OK, and now what are we expecting? We're expecting that netadmin can do whatever administrator at vsphere.local can do, while netadmin is actually an Active Directory account. So what we can do is we can sign out, yes, log out. And how do we log in to the Vcsa from a Windows account? Well, we have to put the full domain name, like user principal name, netadmin at netplus.local. And yeah. Now, what we did assign administrator. Yeah, SSI3 is off, which is okay. So what we can check is if we can create a virtual machine, because virtual machine uses storage, it uses networking. So does our Netplus admin really have that kind of privileges? So we can go for new virtual machine, yeah. And yeah, create new virtual machine is okay. And we can give it VN02. Yeah, next. And E682 is okay, or 1, whichever you want. And yeah, the lawn-based data store. All the other data stores should be showing by now. And next, yeah, the rest is okay. It's 7 point, yeah. So
Which
it's
one? Which one?
the latest one, yeah, which is okay. And yeah, the default OS is okay because we're not installing an OS inside when it comes. Oh, it's stuck. 7.0, the virtual machine uses hardware version 18, which provides the best performance and latest features. Yeah. Is it the latest one that we have to learn?
I don't follow you. I don't follow you.
Is it, why is it not going ahead?
I'm checking back. Checking back. That's one. Let me see. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay, now it's showing me.
Maybe it's taking time. I guess it's the processing. Seems okay. Was there a latest version for this 7.0 U1 and later? That's the latest. Okay. Yeah. I think it was on that.
You're doing something on the background.
Well, it hasn't started yet.
Let's check. Yeah, it's not started yet.
So we can go back and check what else could have gone wrong, because this is supposed to be a E6i1 is okay, E6i, we can just change to E6i2, but the storage is also okay. Lab becomes painful when too much memory is involved. Yeah. You know what? If you can go right click on the E6i2 directly, E6i2, and then right click, yeah, and then create a virtual machine here. Although it should have been really fine there as well. Right click on E6i2. Oh, it's still. Oh. It's. It said, yeah, no problem, just to view this object or its deleted object. And you're logged in from netadmin at net. So either the full permissions haven't synced yet, so yes, we can just refresh the whole browser on the browser level, which is, yeah. Yeah, it's inside 2 and you, yeah, virtual machine, yeah, that's great. And yeah, Vmware 2 or 3. Yeah, and oh, okay. So on the now we see everything. 1, yeah, DS1, and compatibility succeeded. Yes, next. So on the hyper, no, it's okay. And yeah, operating system we don't need. So
Okay.
we're good. So on the E6i level, yeah, here we can give 1 GB RAM. Yeah, that's fine. Just in 4 to 1. Yeah, change the backspace. You can just remove the 4 and
Okay.
1. That's it. And the hard disk, you can expand that hard disk, and on the left side, the new hard disk is written. On the left side, other side. Yeah, this one. When you expand that, exactly. And you can see a bit down there, thick provisioned, which we need to change to thin provision, exactly. And next, yeah, now we're good. So if it's able to create this machine, yeah, finish, then we're good. Well, that's one way to know that netadmin has pretty much all the privileges now. But remember, we will need to remember one thing. There normally are some top level stuff, things on the vCenter level that only administrator at vSphere can do, and netadmin cannot do all the top level tasks here. But but that was NetAdmin, right? So what we need to do is we will create another account now, desktop user 1 in Active Directory, right? So let's go to Server Manager, and here tools and Active Directory user and computers, and yeah, so we can create a new user, new and user, and that is desktop user.
Just saying a random name.
Yeah. And we can still uncheck. Yeah, uncheck the user must do. Yeah, uncheck. Yeah, and we're good. Next. Now, how professionally we should be putting that? We should create a group as well, security group, and we should create a security group called desktop users. So let's right click on the users and new and group. Yeah, and desktop users. Yeah, global and scope security is okay. And yeah, press OK, and then we can add this user to the desktop users security group, because we're going to be adding just a group there, not the user. And yeah, so we can just go to the desktop users group and
Where can I see? I don't see the group.
yeah. Okay, and yeah, members and John. Okay, cool. So no, apply. Okay, so that's it. So thank you. And also let's go to the netplus.local domain and just refresh it just a few million times. Right above netplus domain written there. Oh yeah. So now what we can do is, and that's what we do in the production environments as well, we just simply add groups in Vcenter, and then we keep on adding and removing users from that group. Or pretty much that's a practice throughout Microsoft, VMware, Citrix. So what we need to do, yes, we can go to the administration again and go to the global permissions again, access control way up. Yes.
Okay.
And we can click the plus sign here, and now well, first we need to change the domain on the top, which is now desktop user, right? So that was the name.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. So it syncs fine, and we can give it to just a virtual machine power user, which is way down, even further down.
Virtual machine power user.
And propagate them. Yep. Now this user can do anything with virtual machine, but that's it. So we can sign out from netadmin at Netplus and sign in from actually John at netplus.local, who is part of a group. So John should get this permission. Yeah. Okay, so now first of all, we gave John VM permission, right? How about let's create a data store now. So you can right click on this store DC and storage, new data store. Oh, VMFS, and yeah, so just data store 2. We don't have a data store 2. Yeah. That storage option should have been not, and click any one of those. Yeah. Actually, we don't have any alarms available, so that's why. Sorry. Now we won't be able to create it because we already used up all the.
No, it's saying not enough
Oh,
privileges.
now there it shows. You know that storage should have been grayed out, but okay, it's here that it's saying. Okay, so we see that not enough privileges. That's what I wanted to show. Let's click cancel. And what can we do, right? So can this user on a hypervisor level, if you expand that and go to ESXi2, yeah, and click on ESXi2, right click on ESXi2, can this user create a virtual machine? So if you new virtual machine is grayed out.
Yes,
And right, yeah. Oh, still. Okay. So, well, wherever the permissions are, we can see right away that pretty much everything else is grayed out. Yes, this user can start, restart. Oh, now do data storage.
So now you can do it.
So this is what I was expecting.
Okay.
That it should not. Everything should be grayed out. So that's a perfect implementation of permissions for the user. But can this user power on a virtual machine or power off a virtual machine? Like,
Nope.
yeah, so this user cannot shut down hypervisors. That's also good. So we can check the virtual machine, not the, yeah, this sample ones. And in the power, if you go way up, yes. So power on, hard stop are the options that this user can do. This is a desktop user. Yes, this is how much permissions we have given to that. And the role that we've selected. So yeah, that's good that the user is showing all this, and the synchronization is going on. Suppose you add another user to the group in Active Directory, that user will automatically get whatever the group has, the permissions. So yes, all the permissions are gone. So this means that it's a correct, permissions implementation of a highly privileged user like administrator, and then low privileged user like the desktop support for just virtual machine. So this is how the permissions, lack of permissions would look like. Options would be simply grayed out.
But can the power user also manage VMware Center?
Well, if you can right click there, it's a virtual machine first of all, and that's going to be not a very good idea to give power. Oh man, yeah. So power user better be very careful with this one if he or she needs that job. Otherwise, technically,
so this is
yes, this should be off limits, but it is not. It's a virtual machine. It comes in that category.
right.
So yeah, that user just better be careful. That's all. And so no, there are permissions. You know what? There are permissions when you go really in depth with that permissions. There are permissions. Okay, this user can connect only on hypervisor 1, and or hypervisor 1 has actually the vCenter, Vcsa. So this user can only connect to hypervisor 2. That's it, and cannot connect to.
I get it. The vCenter. Yeah, okay, I get it.
So guys, this is the Active Directory related stuff, and I'll somehow it was not working on my side, and thank you for sharing your screen, Sarfraz. You saved the day here.
No problem.
And if I go back to my steps, so I'm just gonna share back my screen now to carry on with the rest of the stuff. So thank you again for sharing your screen. And yeah. And so my Vcenter that I restarted, it's also going to, by now it better be started. And if we just check out the steps, the rest of the steps, so we needed to, so there's first of all Active Directory, joining Active Directory. It's a two-step process. I also put those URLs there. In fact, the first one is not official. It's some guy who posted that, it's the second one that is the official one, and I'll just keep this one here because that's from VMware directly, and it gives you all those related configurations as well. But we went far ahead and checked the permissions on non-privileged and privileged user. So virtual machine management, oh, that's virtual machine management, and resource pools. So we need to check it out vapps and virtual standard storage. If I go back here and quickly log in from administrator at vsphere.local, so we could just go ahead and check out those topics. So I'm going to go for, once we log in, well, so here, A6i3 is down, that's why it is just showing this, but I'm going to go back to Win01, and here we can see, if I just go to the hypervisor level first of all and right click here, so there is a new resource pool showing here as well, and if I go to data center level, there is, you won't see a resource pool here. So on the hypervisor level, E6i1, there is E6i2 as well. So I'm just going to go to E6i2. I'll select that E6i2 and I'm going to right click here, and there's a resource pool. So what is the purpose of resource pool? I'm going to click that. The main purpose of, I'll just make it full screen as well. So the main purpose of resource pool is, see this, CPU and memory. So if I just collapse that and collapse, so you can see that there are CPU and memory only. But what is the main purpose? Main purpose is, just like nowadays, there is a Bitcoin that has gone like one Bitcoin $60,000. So it has become the most critical asset there, one of the most. So the most critical asset for virtual machines is CPU and memory, and they're always fighting with each other, contesting with each other to grab as much CPU and memory during the peak hours. So now there are critical machines and then there are non-critical machines. If critical machines do not get enough CPU and RAM, and non-critical machines have taken over that, suppose there are so many users connected actually to non-critical machines for their temporary tasks during peak hours, so critical machines don't get it, your business totally depends on those critical machines. So you would want to make sure that enough CPU and enough memory is available to the critical machines first, and then whatever is left can be distributed among the non-critical virtual machines. So for that, first of all, obviously we need to give a name here. Suppose it's sales VMs and then RP resource pool. So what is shares, reservation type, and limit? And you can see CPU has the same features there, and memory has the same features here. So pretty much what it means is, so first of all, shares is normal, there is high, there is custom there. So normal, high, custom just means that what priority the virtual machines of this resource pool will get. So the priority that they will get, suppose we go for high here, right? And shares are high, so this means that we're telling the hypervisor, hey hypervisor, excuse me, please listen to what this resource pool sales VMs RP has to say, and then attend to the needs of the other virtual machine if the shares for that are high. If suppose you have two resource pools there, marketing VMs and sales VMs, marketing VMs is low while sales VM is high, so obviously the hypervisor has to check that, okay, first I'm told because your shares are high, so you get more priority. Let me just check what you need. Oh, you have this much RAM, CPU reserved. So first, shares is that give priority. That's the purpose of that. Reservation is the minimum, limit is the maximum. So reservation means now how much of this available CPU you want to reserve for the machines, group of machines that are going to be attaching to this resource pool. Once it is created, I'm gonna show you that how does it look like or how does it work. So reservation, you want to reserve, hey, hypervisor, please make sure that minimum, suppose I go for 1024 megahertz of processor is always available for the machines that are attached to this resource pool. So out of the total RAM of, I have that poor 4 GB RAM right now. So out of that, so already 1 GB is assigned. So suppose it's 128 GB RAM, and you say that for this resource pool, please assign 64 GB RAM. So 64 and minus 128, what is left is going to be given to the rest of the machines. So suppose it's 1 terabyte RAM, you can just then decide. So reservation 1024 reservation means simply minimum. So it's 1 gigahertz here. And then I'm going to come back to reservation type, but then limit is maximum. Now, if it's a critical machine, you may not want to put a cap on this and let it go and ask for more, right? Instead of actually putting a cap. But if you can also create a resource pool for non-critical machines and put their shares as low that, hey, attend to them later, whatever CPU and RAM they want, and don't give them minimum they should have that. You can keep it 0 for those guys, non-critical ones, and you can put a cap on their maximum CPU that they can go up to, right? So there you can put a cap. So suppose you put that 2084 is the maximum the non-critical machines can take, but the critical ones which has the high priority or custom, you just put some number there, and they can ask for more. So they can ask for more. Suppose you put a cap for critical machines, right? Maximum is you can go more than 2508 whatever, right? So the thing is that if they are critical machines and there are, your company might be relying on that. So when you put a cap on, hey, you can't have more than this CPU, I'm not going to give you. So that would really not be good for critical machines, but for non-critical you can put a cap. But once you say reservation is minimum, limit is maximum, then what is reservation type and expandable? So it just means that suppose the boss says yes, every machine, critical or non-critical, has to be put a cap on. You have to put a maximum of that. You have to give a limit to all those. But there are those machines who have the limit, but they can ask for more if expandable is selected. If you unselected, now this is all what you got. You can't ask for more. Selected, yes, you can ask for more. Oh, you ran out of all this 2508 megahertz of or 2.5 gigahertz of CPU. Okay, since you have this expandable, you can ask for more. And hypervisor would try to try to provide whatever CPU it can provide. So this is just for unchecked, cannot ask for more, checked, you can ask for more, right? So minimum, this much has to be provided. Maximum, okay, you have a limit, but those source pools that have expandable can ask for more. So pretty much that's the same story for memory, that you can give, okay, you need to give a lot of memory here, and it's high here, and but you can go custom, just like above you can go custom here as well. And suppose you have multiple resource pools and they have some custom numbers, you can just give a higher number for it to be given more priority. So reservation, minimum, we need this much RAM. So I just have for 4 GB RAM. So suppose you say that minimum, this is that's MB, yeah. So what's wrong with that? Oh, okay, maximum reserve is this. So I'll just minimum, I'll just keep it 0 for now. 656 I'm getting max reservation that you can do here. So 500 MB. So it just cuts down all the RAM for whatever is available. And expandable, you can ask for more, and unlimited, yes. Maximum, we don't put a cap, or if it's unlimited, then you don't need this option whether it is checked or not. But if you give that, okay, not more than that, then you can still ask for more, expandable. So the main thing is, you, for the critical machines, you would want resource pools to be created. But if you have that advanced feature called DRS, distributed resource scheduler, then you don't need resource pool. Distributed resource scheduler simply handles all that automatically. For critical machines, it just provides all the CPU and RAM they need during peak hours. So if I click OK to whatever I selected, so the resource pool looks like this. But how do you really attach the virtual machines to that? And well, I really need that machine here on VM01 on ESXi2. So I'll just move that machine. I'm going to right click this machine on ESXi1, and I'm going to go for migrate. I just need to quickly change compute resource. Compute resource means hypervisor. Change hypervisor quickly. I want this from hypervisor 1, ESXi1 to hypervisor 2. So I could just show you that sales resource pool. Okay, ESXi2, I'm going to select here quickly. Then I want to just change the host, and it just says migrate VM networking. Yeah, there's one port group VM network here and one port group VM network here, the same. As long as you get this report, compatibility and green, you're good. You can just keep on going. Otherwise, there will error show in that bottom screen. So I click finish here, and I'm expecting, yeah, there you go. Machine is here in ESXi2 now. So I can show you. So how do you assign resource pool to our virtual machine? We can either drag and drop a virtual machine from here on top of resource pool. It's going to join it, or right click and move to folder. This one. If you click right click and move to folder, so where do you want to move here? And oh no, oh, so that's not that feature, sorry. If I go down here, there was a move. I think that's very strange. So I don't want to go drag and drop, but that's the other way. Well, move to folder, I'll check it out why it's not showing me. Oh, I'll double click that. No, serious. Really? Okay. So what I can do is I'll simply drag and drop up here, and it's done. See this? If I collapse that, it's inside the resource pool now. And if I expand that, it collapse. So it has moved inside the resource pool. That's one thing. If I right click the resource pool itself, so we can create new resource pool, child resource pools under the resource pool. Suppose you got a lot of CPU and RAM here, and you create actually child resource pools which have further machines that can use up minimum and maximum memory and CPU, and then they can ask for more from the parent resource pool. If the parent resource pool runs out of that, then they can ask from the hypervisor itself. So you can create new resource pool. You can create directly virtual machines here as well. And yeah.
Amir, just a question. What about alerts? Like, can the client send me, the Vcsa client send you an alert on an email or something that this virtual machine is going low on resources or something?
Alarms.
Okay.
So new alarm definition, and then you can select alarms as well. Well, it's 6:54. So guys, resource pool, we're gonna continue from here, and then we're gonna go for other topics that I've lined up there in OneNote. So till now, we did it till here. So try to reach till here if you're not there by following the video. And yeah, see you next week then. Yeah.
Goodbye.
And guys, you could right click and power and suspend machine, so it will start fast. If you shut down, it's gonna start really slow. Okay, thank you. That's what I was saying. Right. Suspend. Alright. Suspend. Oh, well, critical asset is on ESXi1, so the others I can actually shut down. Alright. Alright, it's also done.